Here we are once again. Welcome. So glad that you have tuned in. Tonight we're going to be talking with Robin from Robin's Gardens. We're going to be talking about self sufficient because that's a term that gets thrown around a lot. And we kind of want to talk about what we define that as or what you define it as because you can be self sufficient in one thing, and that's the only thing you want to be self sufficient in. Or, like many of our homesteading friends, they want to be self sufficient in everything. They grow their own meat. Yeah, so it can be as big as you want or as neat and tidy as you want. So, we're going to talk a little bit about that and then a little bit about what you do with it in order to keep yourself going with it for as long as you can during the year. So, let me just say hi. The Basilian Allotment Man. Hi, good to see you. The Right Pear Plot. Allie, good to see you. Locke, always good to see you. Mel. Mel is a very big contributor here in the chat. Let's see. Leighton. Oh, Jace, good to see you. Claire, Growing Plotty, good to see you. Let's see. I saw a few more people here down the way. You have to forgive me. I've got a new mouse. And it's very fast, at least for me. I think I saw Stephen. There's Lisa's here. Look at that. I did see Stephen. I think it's just further down. So nice to see you all. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there while I'm still ahead of the game. Okay. So, Claire, my goodness. Robin, let me ask you, what does self-sufficient in your garden mean to you?
Well, being able to, I guess, supply at least something all year for my family, which is, Al and myself.
So pretty much a garden season to garden season, you'd like this one or two things to last the entire time. I think,
Exactly.
yeah, and I think that's a great goal, even for just one piece of produce, right? Because it's all about growing it and taking care of it and preserving it so that it indeed will last that long. So, do you find yourself able to do that with anything currently, or what is your goal maybe for this coming year?
Well, I have props.
I love that.
This onion, this is a Patterson.
Oh, that's a nice size, Patterson.
And this, or just a little bit smaller, is how all of them, came out for me. They are still firm and storing beautifully, and I will make it just about till the other onions start coming in. I think I may be self-sufficient in shallots also. These are Zabroon, and these were great stores for me too. They're all still firm. They get stored in my garage. And
And
then this,
do you do anything special with them out in your garage? Because I know it's quite cool in your garage, obviously.
I don't do anything special, just, try to keep them dark and ventilated in a cardboard box or a container of some sort.
Okay, so you
And
don't put them in sand or anything like that.
mm-mm.
Wow, that's
And
awesome.
these are Red Ruby from M.I. Gardner, and it's the only red uh, storage onion that I've found that I can do. And these have lasted really long. This one is still firm. I'd say about 20, 25, 30% of them now are going. But
Yeah,
wow, it's the end of February.
yeah. No, that's now, do you do anything to them once they start going,
Yeah,
or do you
chop them up
just?
real fast and freeze them or use
Oh,
them.
okay. Yeah, that's
But
half of it, isn't it? It's kind of monitoring. what you're storing so that you don't
Yeah.
forget. Like I did a few years ago, I had an entire crate of baby spaghetti squash, and they had turned into a science experiment
Oh,
because I had kept them in our basement in a very cold closet. And oh, yeah, I was growing some horrible bacteria or something in there. So those, excuse me, those needed to be looked at a little sooner.
so the only other thing I have in would that I'm self-sufficient in is winter squash.
Yes.
Um, this is the South Anna butternut, and this is autumn frost.
Aren't those
Both of them
pretty?
are, both of them are really tasty. I love to um, roast the seeds from the butternut in particular. Oh, all different kinds of ways with different kinds of spices on it, but they don't last. It's kind of like uh kale. When we make the kale chips, it doesn't last either.
Oh, yeah, because they just get gobbled up, which is a good sign, I'm thinking, if what you're doing is so tasty that, yeah, we're not resisting that at all. So, uh, those are two great stable shelf items. Is there anything this year that you want to try to add to that list? Or are you
Well,
good with that? Yeah.
my garlic made it into this month. So that's a pretty long go from
That's pretty good.
July to into February. I would like to try to go longer, but you need the soft neck to do that. So
Yes.
this past fall, I planted some soft neck for the first time, and we'll see if it
Okay.
works here. I got them from a purveyor in Indiana, which is similar zone to me.
Right.
So I'm hoping,
Okay.
and
I think
then
they can be grown. They just don't take the cold quite like the hardnecks do. But yeah, now I freeze mine. Like that's how I get mine to last me the month because I'm pretty self sufficient in garlic. Uh, but I freeze it because just there's no way it's going to last on my. And sometimes that is another thing that you get one bulb that goes bad, and it takes out about 10 because they get it
Mhm.
because they're sitting next to it. So I found if we just break up the bulb into the cloves, even leave the paper on them and throw them in the freezer, it works just great.
Wow, that sounds nice and easy too.
And then if you use a garlic press, the
Hmm.
press keeps the paper in the pressed part. And so only the garlic goes out. So that's kind of how I found to keep it for the year, get me all the way through.
Well, that's a good plan too because I did 117 cloves, and typically I'm right around 60. So I am
Okay.
going to have more this year than ever.
Yeah. I made a mistake a few years ago, and I'm sure some of the chat will remember. Uh, yeah, Locke is saying, I grew like 700 cloves of garlic. I ordered from everybody, and I kept thinking, I haven't ordered my garlic yet. And then all of it came in. And so we had garlic every way we could eat garlic that year. And if you came to my home, you got a garlic bouquet to take home with you because there was no. So now I grow about 250, and that's like perfect. So we love garlic here. So if you can't tell, uh, so yeah, uh, yeah, and I've never grown a soft neck, and you can braid those. I mean, those are like very
Oh yeah, that's very, very interesting. Here's one way, other way I preserve it.
honey.
No, this is pickling. I
I
pickled
never
these.
pickled garlic,
Yeah.
and then you just use it like fresh garlic, or
Yeah, they're really mild. What they really mellow out when you do this.
so that's like a standard pickle. brine?
But yep, I did my dill recipe in this one.
Interesting. You
It's
got
just
me
another,
thinking now.
you I I always I got the idea because I always put a couple cloves in with, like the
Absolutely.
garlic dill, and
Right, right,
we're both, ooh, I want the garlic, down at the
right.
bottom of
Fight
the
over it.
pickle
Let's make
jar.
sure we put 4 in there. So we
So
go
now I make some of these.
oh. So it's got a garlic slash pickled
Garlic
flavor.
slash pickled, but very mild, very mild.
And so you just use it in recipes like you would normally use a garlic?
No,
Okay.
usually just, like along with a sandwich or you know, some kind of luncheony type meal,
Okay.
like a tapas on the side.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm gonna have to try that this year. That
It's
this I'm always looking for new ways to keep things.
it's
Uh,
easy, and they come right at the time the cukes are coming crazy, right? So
oh, that'd be great in a salad too, wouldn't
put
it? If it's
yep,
mild.
put them on the assembly line, right?
Yes. Oh, oh, nice. Very nice. So you're hoping to grow more garlic.
Hmm.
Anything else that doesn't have to be? I'm just kind of curious.
Um, well, I have so many people who love the herbs that I do, so I'll probably make sure that I do more herbs. The problem this past year was I didn't have a lot extra because I made, Christmas presents for my family, and then I let so many of them go to seed so that I could collect the seed for the seed library.
Yes, which is quite amazing. That is so amazing that you're part of that. If you haven't seen that, that was your last video where you were there working with them.
It
Go
was.
see Robin's last video at Robin Gardens, and she's sitting with the team that are putting all the seed packets together
Hmm.
for the seed library. And it's available to anyone who wants to go in and get seeds, correct, and grow them in their garden. So it's a really cool, very cool endeavor, and you should be really proud of that. That is like talk about a way to help a new gardener get going. I
It
mean,
it yeah, it's neat that it's available and free to the people in the county. There's
yeah,
8 libraries up there in Door County, and um,
that's awesome.
one of the ladies decorated the front of drawers of an old, Dewey Decimal
Yes,
card catalog.
yes.
Just, oh, they are so lovely. My video doesn't even do it justice how beautiful they are.
No, but they
And
really
then
were pretty. They did show up as beautiful. Uh,
and yeah,
yeah,
that's so you can just, go in and pick out what you need.
yeah, that's incredible. So really, if you haven't seen that, please go watch it. It's absolutely incredible. Uh, let's see, Stephen from the Urban White Buffalo Farm. Oh, there we go. This mouse. Okay. Does a Persian pickled garlic. Cloves are left whole, and we eat them whole with olive tapenade and giardiniera. Wow,
Oh, that sounds good.
that's like flavor on flavor on flavor.
Oh,
Oh man,
doesn't that
this is
sound good?
what'd you say?
Doesn't that sound good?
Oh, I mean the combo. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Yeah, and even just the ones with a little clove in there, I think would be a really interesting back note to the garlic. So kudos to Stephen for that one. That's awesome.
I've got to write that down.
Yeah, I go back through all of these and I make definite notes because sometimes someone just throws something in the chat and we miss it because we're gabbing. And it's like this brilliant little idea. And I'm like, oh, I'm not going to let that go. Because all these folks in the chat are outright gardeners.
Oh
So,
yeah.
you
I
know,
love this.
Yeah, they know what they're talking about. So
I
uh,
love this group. It's such a special group of people that come together every Thursday
yes, it is,
or
and they all
Wednesday.
have just wonderful things to add and to say, and they take care of each other in the chat. And I see that Rob is here, and I know you haven't been well, so welcome back, and we hope you're on the mend. Uh, oh wait, now, oh, okay, Steve, you just really hit this one out of the park. They add balsamic vinegar to the pickle brine.
Ooh.
As far as
Ooh.
I'm concerned, you can add balsamic vinegar to a tennis shoe and it will taste good. But I never thought to
Oh,
add that to my pickle brine. And a lot of balsamics are 5% vinegar, so they work beautifully in pickling. Okay.
ooh. I'll tell you something I figured out um, is Coleman's dry mustard. So these are Elsa Craig onions that I sliced up. I've got some garlic in there and kind of my normal dill brine, but then I add about a pretty heaping teaspoon of the powdered Coleman's mustard. Ooh, yummy. I do that to like a pickle relish also. There it is. This one, just when I make a dill pickle relish and I add some Coleman's mustard. Oh, that just,
That's got to add a nice heat to it.
it
Like a
does
bad
it.
that because the Coleman's is very uh I mean that's as mustardy as you can get.
It's
Right.
zippy.
Yeah. Although, I started trying to ferment mustard seeds and like doing the whole I'm making my own mustard. And until you added like mustard seeds themselves don't taste all that mustardy, but you throw in
No,
a little bit of Coleman's, that then becomes a mustard. So I
absolutely.
actually, this was back when we did a lot more. We don't eat a whole lot of meat anymore, but back when we did grilling, we would instead of just doing like a cracked black pepper on the outside of a steak, we would just do solid mustard seeds. It was because
Ooh.
they're not hot, but they've got that little spicy crunch. They're wonderful.
I've done that with a lamb roast before.
Yes, but it just
Laura, I've got lots of props, by the way. She asked how many things I had behind the camera.
I know I let you come very more prepared than I do, uh, and I think that's wonderful. Uh, yes, Rob Coleman's. I always think of Coleman's as kind of the British mustard because my parents were from Scotland, and we always had Coleman's, and I think that was before. I was a little American kid, right? So I want the stuff in the yellow squirty bottle because that's what. But no, it was like no, we have to make up Coleman's, and that was way too hot for me. But yeah, I think it is kind of the original mustard. I would have to agree with you there. Um, oh wow, I now want to go pickle something. I'm like tasting that pickly thing in the back of my throat here. That's wonderful. Uh, okay, so I'm thinking I this year I really want to be self sufficient in onions. I do good
Mhm.
with onions, but I do not grow enough of them. I have won't even tell you how many I have started on my shelf. Probably a little over 300 onions. I'm hoping to get enough to get through the year. Uh, my first sowing of Elsa Craig and Bedfordshire Champion, barely anything happened. And I've
Ooh.
got to write it off to maybe older seed. And it must have been really old seed. But I got 12 Bedfordshire Champion starts, and I'm growing those 6 or those 12 for nothing other than to let them go to seed. I want to gather the seed because I can no longer get that over here. So I want to, that's going to be my first big save your own seed project. I'm growing them just for seed. So I'm doing that. I'm pretty self sufficient in garlic, winter squash as well. Uh, my husband doesn't love winter squash as much as I do, so I kind of have to sneak it in. He likes a good soup out of it, but he's not. I don't think. Anyway, so I'm self sufficient for me in squash, and I want to be self sufficient in lettuce for the entire growing season.
Oh, wow.
So my goal, I've got all kinds of varieties that should withstand heat, blah blah, and I want to be able to go out every day, pick a salad, and because that's all I really want to eat in the summer. That and a nice piece of watermelon or something like that does me just fine. Um, so that's a goal, is to grow those seed. I want to try to save zinnia seeds this year because one of my favorite zinnias is no longer available. So I'm gonna see what I could do. Do you have any tips on? I know this is kind of off topic, but it's kind of related. Do you need to isolate a zinnia if you want to save its seed? I don't.
If you've got multiple varieties near, they could cross-pollinate it. I've never had a problem with that.
Okay.
But zinnias are kind of stinkers when it comes time to, harvest them out. But, you can let them mostly dry on the vine.
That's what I was thinking. Like, put them somewhere where I don't care if they look really horrible.
Snip them off, about yay long, throw them in some kind of container in the garage and let them just finish drying off. And I found after I had packed the 660 whatever packages, I'm in the garage and I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't do the tall zinnias. So I ended up making with the rest of that 700 total packets. But yeah,
Wow.
they're kind of stinkers to when you pull apart and get the chaff out of, but it's worth it. It's totally worth it.
Well, I'm willing to do that for this one zinnia.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those. It looks like a pincushion style, but it's orange. And
Ooh.
Creek used to sell it. It was called Aztec, and I mean, a stunning. And and then all of a sudden they're not carrying it anymore. So I'm buying some mixes of those pincushion ones to see if there's any of the orange in there. But I also have some seed left that I just want to grow again for seed, so that I know I have some in my hip pocket because I love
Mm-hmm.
seeds. You got to have them. Uh, let's see how. Oh, Steve is like coming up with all kinds of amazing things today. How old do you put your onion seeds? My start to tip over, so I trim them back regularly. When they tip over, the roots come out of the soil. Well, I start mine indoors and I plant them outside at the same depth they're planted in the little cells. Uh, but yeah, I think if they're too close to the soil, they will start flopping over because those tops get so heavy.
I'm a
Um,
I'm a I'm a trimmer. Hang on, I can reach my seedlings.
I know trimming is like a little bit controversial. Some people trim, some people don't. It's kind of like, do you chit your potatoes or don't you chit your potatoes? Uh,
So
yeah.
I started these on the 5th of February, and we're just at the point, probably a week or so, and I will do my first haircut. And I haven't had a problem doing it that way. I
Yeah.
think they concentrate on their roots. I don't know. It works for me, you know.
Yeah. Do you ever trim them back when they're a little bigger, like when they're in the garden?
No, I haven't. Not once they get in the garden, but at the seedling stage, this seedling stage, they get a couple of haircuts before they go out.
Well, even if you order, because have you used Dixondale Farms? No, Dixondale.
No, yeah,
They're,
I haven't.
they're the onion people, or are they the garlic people?
Onion. They
Yeah, they're
are.
when you get them from them, and they look like a green onion, but it's been topped. I mean, that doesn't come with a big long top on it. It comes with like 3 inches of top, so it's been topped off before you even put it in the ground. So I always look at what the farmers do. And if an onion farmer is doing that, why can't I?
Mm-hmm, exactly.
And I've even made onion top pesto because one year mine were flopping over so much and I knew they were not bulbed properly. And I thought, I don't want their necks to break because then it's over. Like that bulb is not doing another thing. So I gave them quite a hearty haircut and I made onion top pesto that was just absolutely wonderful.
Oh man, that sounds good. Whew.
And onions did great. So I know there's a thing that they're hollow stems, it's kind of like a hollow little thing that water gets in. Here in like July, there's not a whole lot of water getting in there because there's not much water. And I, irrigate from the bottom. So I think it really depends on your growing circumstances. Yeah, I don't think it'd be great if those just filled up with water, but I I had great bulbs and I had like a good year's worth of onion top pesto. So I was very happy with that result. So let's try to think if there's anything else. I know I'm self sufficient in hot peppers. If I have so many hot pepper seeds, not seeds, dried hot peppers, I think I could last the rest of my life without growing any more, other than they'll start losing uh, their heat, so to speak. Oh, you've got some hot peppers to show us.
No, 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 but
Okay.
I have a pepper question. I had to move those so I could get to them.
Uh, so I know I'm although after we did a chili special on potty mouth, and I'd already decided, this year I'm only going to grow a few, going to focus
Mhm.
on sweet peppers, and well, then after the chili special, and they just arrived, I ordered 9 new varieties of hot peppers
Oh,
because
9.
I couldn't help myself. But if it's only 9 plants, if I only grow one plant of each, which usually is not my style, because I always start like 3 to get one, and then what do you do with these beautiful little seedlings? So I'm going to be much more ruthless, or give like sorry, survival of the fittest. I'm really
Mhm.
sorry, or give them away. We have a little sharing library for gardens
Mhm.
across the street. So I think I might just load her up with little chili starts because that's what happens to me. I end up growing 3 of everything. And what on earth, you know, do you do with
I,
3 plants
I,
of
I
12 hot peppers, right?
I have a girlfriend who just can't. She just wants to leave them all. I'm like, if you leave them all, you're not going to get the show you want. So I have to go over and thin stuff because and then she's like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "I'm positive." And she's like, "Oh, you were so right, 2 months
It is
later."
so true. And I do kind of a high intensity planting. So
Hmm.
I push things a little bit, but you can only push so far or you're going to get nothing because they're all going to be unhappy and do just about nothing. So
Yeah,
yeah, it is hard.
I push the, pack it in button as far as I can, but for me, and it probably happens to you too, when powder and mildew season hits,
Oh,
I just have to make sure that there's airflow.
yeah, and you got to be brutal even on your squash plants. Like you got to make sure there's some airflow in there. And they have a lot of leaves, so I'm quite convinced they're going to make it. But yeah, you just got to be brutal and cut it off. Um,
So here's my pepper question. Um, Nanu sent me Sweet Ingrid and Anaheim. So this is the Anaheim I looked up. It's got some mild heat to it.
Yes,
Do I need to get both of these started now?
I would. I'm going to plant my mild and sweet peppers tomorrow.
Okay.
That's on my list. If you give the peppers just a little, they don't grow as fast as tomatoes. I mean, tomatoes, honestly, and I might try that this year. I might plant a seed outside and see if I get tomatoes from it because they grow so fast. Peppers, particularly the hotter they are, the slower they seem to grow. So my hot one's already in, but they're not up yet. But I thought, because I really do like a nice sweet stuffed pepper. So that's how we're going to preserve a lot of our sweet peppers is I'm going to prepare them before they go in the freezer so that when I take it out, I just warm it up.
So I have one more thing to add to the I'm self-sufficient in, and
Yeah.
that's herbs, at least the common ones.
Yep.
And I love these little Ziploc packets, food grade from Amazon. I mean, these make just tremendous gifts, right?
Yeah.
Everybody looks forward to them every year. These are these are 2022, but like lemon thyme is my absolute favorite herb of all time. So I make these little packets up and everybody gets them and it's just a gift that's looked forward to. And then I like to make some blends. Like this one is lemon thyme, parsley, chive, sea salt, garlic, and I've also added some celery powder to this as well. Uh,
Nice.
and just sea salt and leek uh, powder, green onions. I ended the season as we were coming into that snow at Halloween, and I'm like, they all had to come out, so they all got dehydrated and made into powder. So all the common stuff, dill, oregano, basil, I'm self-sufficient in herbs.
Now, do you grow your dill? Speaking of these kind of herbs, do you do like a big spring thing of dill, or do you have it in a nice shady spot and it gives you dill year round? I find my dill doesn't like the heat.
I just keep planting it. So I put some in right away in spring, and I'll put some in midsummer. But you're right, kind of more in a cooler
It just seems to
segment.
love
So it's
coolness more.
shaded by, some other plants. And then I'll
Yeah.
get some going again for the fall. I like one variety called Ducat, Dill Ducat,
Yes.
Dukat.
Yes. Okay. And you find that does pretty good.
Yeah, I find that you get more fronds on that, leaves, fronds,
Right.
uh,
Right.
on
Instead of
that particular
flower.
variety.
Yeah, instead
Hmm.
of flowers. Although the flowers look really pretty in pickle jars.
Oh, they
I
and taste good too.
I love the flowers in a good flower in a pickle jar. Uh, yeah, and I'm thinking, is there anything? Oh, asparagus. I think I'm pretty well self-sufficient in asparagus too. Unfortunately, you get it all at once, or at least over like a 6 week period. So I'm always looking for good ways to preserve. I'm going to try pickling
Oh.
asparagus, like a quick pickle for the
Mhm.
refrigerator, and see how that goes. But I usually freeze that also, like in tarts or something that is ready to go and it can come out and go in the oven and be done. But by the time asparagus season is over, I think my husband and I are both like, won't be needing asparagus till next year again because we have like 36 plants, I think.
Oh, wow. You have a patch.
I have a patch. It's one bed dedicated, and once it's there, it's pretty well there. And I just interplanted strawberries last year, so we will see how those do. I didn't put them in until June, but they're June bearing strawberries, so they didn't do anything. So I'm anxious to see if those kind of come up at the same time. Although I'm not sure asparagus and strawberries really makes a good combo. I can't quite taste those together, but we'll see. Because don't they say what grows together goes together? Yeah, that I'm not sure that's actually uh, in every case. So we will see. So tell me in the chat, what do you feel like you're self-sufficient in, or what do you want to be self-sufficient in? Yeah, Jace, I saw that video. Jason said he's going to be self-sufficient in Jerusalem artichokes. Yes, I have an entire, I haven't harvested them in several years. So I feel like when we do go in to harvest this pot that I have, it's going to be solid Jerusalem artichokes at the bottom because they just don't know when to quit. So yeah, I'm going to try to come up with some interesting and effective ways to get through all those Jerusalem artichokes. And there may not be a way. You know, sometimes you have to say, thank you for coming. You're beautiful. I give thee back to the dirt, to the soil. Now, how do you have, okay, Claire has massive courgettes from last year. How on earth are those surviving on your kitchen table? I feel like if I don't put a summer squash in the refrigerator pretty soon, it like turns into this little rubbery. That's pretty impressive. Yeah, you got to tell me how you do that. Jace is also saying he is self-sufficient in onions and potatoes. I'd forgotten about potatoes. We are totally, because we don't eat a lot of potatoes, but we love the ones we love. And I still have a nice little pile of those. And Jace's going to make some vodka from the potatoes. Wow. Well, you let us know how that goes. Because that's, well, I wonder over in the UK, they probably don't have Punchki Day over there. Well, I guess it's a Polish tradition. We have a place here called Detroit Distillery, and it's in the city, and it's wonderful. And they come out with a Punchki Day vodka every Fat Tuesday, right? Mardi Gras. And we finally got one, and it's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing little bit of raspberry in there. Okay, so we've got some potatoes, seem to be a biggie. Potatoes and onions, which isn't it nice though to be able to like to go downstairs and pick up an onion that you grew and they're there and they're waiting, and I still get a kick out of that.
And the flavor.
Oh, it's so good. And I'm trying a blush onion this year. I've never grown a blush onion, but it's supposed to be a cross between a yellow and a red. I don't think it has great storage power, but I thought if it's a nice mild onion, I can always just pickle it and it'll be lovely to have around. Right?
This is another thing I have, dried beans. This is kind of a fun story because everybody on the UK channels was planting Roman beans. And I wanted them and I couldn't find them anywhere here. But one day I was at the grocery store and I see a pack of Roman beans, you know, dried, just like dried peas and everything. I bought it and I planted it. And of course, I planted it where I've got my 10-foot trellis because they're going to, you know, take the whole trellis up.
Yeah.
Well, they grew, they make wonderful beans, but they were bush beans. So the trellis was bare for the season.
That's hilarious. That is so funny. I was, yeah, that is funny because it doesn't come with instructions, right?
No.
These are pole beans. No, they're not. Have you grown Greek giganti beans?
No, I have not, but I have some. Will the Flying Gardener sent them to me, so yay. Oh,
those are so good. So good. And Christmas limas. So good. It's almost like a meaty bean. It's like a great meat replacement as far as I'm concerned. Like really good. Okay, so trying purple potatoes. Uh,
I am too. I'm trying Adirondack Blue and Kennebec, and it's my first year. I've never grown potatoes, gardening all these years, and I've only ever done sweet
Backs
potatoes.
are like a gold standard. I mean, they're so lovely, and they grow. They just have a little. I can't remember if they're the ones that have little bumpies. No, that it's not Kennebec. So they're not as easy to peel. Oh, Kennebecks are so good. Uh, talking beans. Mine are supposed to be. Oh, okay. Shells is saying her beans are supposed to be. She was growing them as compost, but they look so good that she didn't put them in. Oh, I love it. So they're still growing for you. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, no, I love to grow drying beans, and I have one fresh bean that I like, and there's just no real good. I don't like canning them because I feel like they taste like canned beans. You know,
Mhm.
kind of like what we used to get at school lunches when we were kids. Um,
But they are good pickled.
I
Um,
am going to try some dilly beans this year.
dilly beans. They are it's kind of like asparagus. When you pickle asparagus, beans are like that too. They're crunchy. They're lovely. I don't have any over here. I have no show and tell on those.
Yeah, I want to do dilly beans, and I do want to pickle some asparagus because, again, I'm looking for ways to. But I thought on a charcuterie board or something, that would be lovely to have those, right? And I find,
Absolutely.
yeah, and I find like our we eat like that more than we sure used to. It's a lot easier to get dinner ready. If you're just putting together a nice board, right?
Right, a little tapas. I've got some red Florence onions that I did. They didn't get big enough to, keep dry. So I pickled them. Those are lovely. I made some chow chow. This is great when you want to just use stuff up and you have like a little pickled relish. It's good in sandwiches, good on the side. This
Okay.
is this is kind of a southern thing, chow chow,
Yes.
southern
And
United States.
I think there's like a million different ways to make that, isn't there? Or
Oh
is there
yeah, I mean
it,
whatever you got in the garden at the moment,
it's like
you know.
refrigerator soup, right? It's kind of like whatever's left in the refrigerator.
Exactly.
It becomes the
Oh,
soup.
and I had a lot of green because, when the early snow came at the Halloween, I had a lot of green tomatoes. So I followed the Lovely Greens green tomato chutney recipe. And I mean it looks like nothing actually, but it's really good.
Now, do you water bath can all those pickles? Okay.
I'll make some just quick refrigerator pickles
Sure.
out of peppers and whatever. Um, but mostly I water bath them so that they're shelf stable.
Yeah, that's awesome. And they only take about 10 minutes, don't they?
10
Water bath?
minutes water bath, yeah. You don't really want to do most things any more than that there. They lose their crunch. And if they lose their crunch, they're not so
What's the
appealing
point?
anymore.
Yeah,
Hmm.
what is the point? Because that's a pickle is supposed to be poppy. Like it needs to crunch when you eat it, not slide down there easily. Um, okay, anything else I'm thinking that asparagus, potatoes. So I guess I'm more self-sufficient in certain things than I realized. I think herbs, at least the ones we use the most. Uh, let me think. Anything, tomatoes for sure. I have not purchased a can of tomatoes, or I only will sometimes buy little small little cherry tomatoes in the dead of winter when I'm kind of looking for a fresh, but I find they're the only ones that have any flavor. You buy a big tomato right now and it's like mealy and it it just tastes horrible. But
We
those
might
little,
be self. Mhm. Go ahead.
go ahead.
We might be self-sufficient in ginger this year, thanks to your grow along.
I'm hoping. I've got stuff popping up like I've never had before, so I feel like I don't know what I'm doing better than I was all the years before, but I think we're going to have a good. I think we're going to have a good ginger year. Uh, I don't know if I'll be self sufficient though. We use ginger a lot, but I'm sure willing to try. That is for sure. Um, so the Kalima bean is the one I grow for fillet, like just for eating. It's like the best bean I've ever tasted. So I would somehow like to extend that. Maybe just freezing them might be better than pickling, not pickling them, canning them. Because I don't like a mushy bean. Not like that. I like mushy other kinds of beans that are like in a, what is that, refried beans. I don't mind a mushy bean in there, but okay. Anything else? Oh, flowers. I want to be self sufficient in flowers. So I don't know how that translates to the months when I can't grow them, but at least on the months when I can grow them, I would like to be very self-sufficient in flowers. So,
You'll have to force some bulbs inside.
well, I'm going to do that, I think, tomorrow, because I realize I have hundreds of tulip bulbs still in the garage that have not been planted. So I'm waiting for like a warm spell in March and just get out there and get them all in because they will still, because they've been in the garage, they've still had the cold. Um, I think they'll come up late, but they will come up. But I think I need to I have this beautiful tulip vase for forcing. And I think, yeah, that needs to get started right now. They'll come up. I think they'll come up so quick if I do that. So
I,
that's not done that before. So that'll be
oh,
fun.
I've forgotten bulbs in the garage. I can't even tell you how many years, and they typically come up just as good as if I had gotten them in the fall.
Yeah.
I
I,
stick them in just as soon as I can work the
soil.
soil.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why I was hoping if we could get something like a little warm, which we usually get, a couple days straight in a row that are nice and warm in the ground. So I want to get all those in. But yeah, I want to force a nice pot of those. It looks so pretty.
Oh, make you
It's
happy
it's
inside.
spring when those tulips are here. So
Mhm.
yeah. Okay, so
So I have one, and I believe you've done it. I'm trying to remember, but I believe you've done fermenting.
yes.
Um, I have had this kit for a few years, and I have never used it. I don't know why. I'm intimidated.
Don't let it scare you. All you have to make sure you do is start with everything really clean because you're trying not to introduce any bacteria into the system and follow the directions like don't mess with the brine, don't at least at first, like make sure you get the idea down and you understand like everything needs to be hyper clean and keep it where they say to keep it and check it every day. It's like a baby. You just kind of you check it and if you see certain kinds of there's like certain kinds of growth that are okay that you can take. But if you're in doubt, start over again. Like don't go, I'm not sure if that's a good bacteria or a bad bacteria. I'm all about in doubt, throw it out. Like these are um I love fermenting. And
And
yeah,
they came with this like cool um
those are nipple. I call
that
them nipple lids.
nipple top that vents.
Yeah, it'll let
And
the gas that's forming in your fermentation out, but not
the,
let. And you put that on top so everything stays under the fluid.
a weight.
Yes. So that's
Yeah,
like part of it is you want to
and
keep muddler. Yes, everything gets packed in nice and tight.
it's been sitting in this box for, I mean, I must have had this 7 or 8 years. I need to,
You know what? I think
I
one of
need to
the
do this.
nicest ones to start with is sauerkraut.
Okay.
Um, Start with just some cabbage because I imagine they're good. They probably have certain recipes in there for certain things, or is it just a
Mhm.
standard? Just yeah, standard
No,
ferment.
no, it's Mason, the
Yep.
jar company. And yep, they've got the brines and the, oh, there's a sauerkraut recipe. Okay, I have no excuses. I need to do
No,
this.
I just think that's a really easy one, and it's that one I find almost impossible to. Uh, it's just really easy, and I think it's a great introduction to the whole fermentation thing. You get your confidence.
Mel saying you should do a video on fermenting. That would be good.
She's saying I should do. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I would be happy because I honestly, I'm having the anchoring for some kimchi, so I might just do a kimchi video. And I got a new little fermentation. It's like a little. It looks like a lunchbox to me, but it has all these cool little. I think the more you can do to make sure you're not getting air in that doesn't need to come in, you're getting the air out. Yeah, I would. I think I will do that. Thank you. That's a great idea. And maybe do some sauerkraut because I think everybody can do that any time of the year. Just go buy a cabbage, right? Um, yeah, I will do that. Thank you, Mel. Great idea. Uh, yeah, and I think Mel's also saying, Robin, you can do some pickling videos.
I, I will. I will. I
It
I
takes
feel
a
confident that I can do that. And I follow the Ball book, the Bible. Here in the United States, this is the Bible book, the Blue Book, they call
yeah,
it. Um, and I mean, I add other spices and Coleman mustard and that kind of thing, but I try not to deviate too far from it, so you're being safe.
right. And these have all been tested. There's also the Center for I don't know. It's a center for home fermentation. Got every recipe for everything you'd ever want to ferment. And the other thing is just because something hasn't been tested doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it hasn't been tested. And when you're serving this stuff to your family or loved ones, you want to make sure, there's not a nice heaping helping of botulism inside these things. So I tend to be just like you. I follow those experts that really have lab tested this stuff and know that it's safe. And there's so much you can still do within that. You never want to mess with your brines that they uh, recommend, and you don't want to play with the acidity. You want to make sure the acidity stays the way they have uh, laid it out. And usually it's 5% vinegar. But there's other ways. Anyway, I'm mumbling, but uh,
It, it looks like I'm not the only one who's a little bit, you know, scared, freaked
ferment.
out, yeah, about um
Well, I think that I'm going to do one then because and
excellent.
yeah, and actually right now is a good time to do it because although there's a lot of sewing going on, we're not out in the garden every day keeping everything uh, taken care of. So yeah, I will do and I might do it with sauerkraut because that's a very accessible thing to do for just about everybody. So and the fermentation, I just love the funk that you get. You can't get that in anything else. Uh, so yeah, I will do that. So we're talking about self-sufficiency. I'm surprised now that we've kind of come up with these lists. I'm self-sufficient in more stuff than I realized. I, I'm,
The other thing that you did that I've never tried, I need to go back and watch your video. It was a oil preservation of a little condiment.
yes. Oh, the garlic chives.
Okay.
Oh, that is so good. That is so good. Um, I don't even know how to describe how good it is. And then you're left with a little bit of this chive oil, and I keep them in my freezer. I don't, and I do them in like pint jars. Yeah, I do them in pints because once I defrost it, I want to make sure we can get through it in a reasonable time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's good on just about everything. And I get so many garlic chives here that I just don't know what to do with them all. So I do use the chive blossoms to make a vinegar pretty. If you put your chive blossoms in white vinegar, I put it in white champagne vinegar. It turns
Ooh.
beautiful, like pinky rose color, but it has a little bit of chive flavor in the back. So good. And then
Ooh.
you just strain out the
Another
little.
video, Audrey, another video.
I actually took that from. Oh my gosh, I can't believe her name is lost. It's left me. She's like she's like a pillar of the gardening community. Liz Zora, sorry. I learned that from her, and I
Okay.
thought, oh, that is the prettiest. But I didn't count on the nice little chive note in the back, so it's lovely. And I
Oh,
will do that because, and I will give her credit for me learning it from her.
oh, here we go. This was one thing we didn't talk about was fruit.
Oh,
So I have two thornless blackberries, and they just kicked it in high gear this year. And I had so much. And making jam is really, really easy if you're a first time canner. And you
yeah,
can buy a little packet to follow. Here in the US, the one that's the most common, I think, is Sure-Jell. And you can get the regular or the low sugar, and just it's so easy. The instructions are so easy. And you have jam. This one is a blackberry with ginger jam.
mm,
Um, and they make nice presents.
yeah. Well, I did a January last January, which I realized was probably not everybody was into doing that in the month of January, but I still have some of those left. So I guess I would say we are definitely self-sufficient in jam. I give them away more than we're just not. My husband, I shouldn't say that. He would love them. I think he forgets they're down there on the shelves. Uh, but yeah, so I guess I'm self-sufficient in jam. And I only bought these. I bought frozen, pre-sliced, like the peaches. They were all
Mhm.
pre-cut, pre-peeled, frozen. Just you get a bag of those, and you can make a lovely peach. I think I made peach and ginger jam, and it was lovely, and it's so easy. And I used, for some reason, I'm thinking Paloma's pectin. Yeah, Paloma's pectin, because it's so low sugar, and you can't tell when you are eating it that this is a low sugar version. It tastes just like a regular jam.
You know what I did once I had so much zucchini coming in at the same time with the blackberries that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna, you know, put it through the little machine that I make the relish with that makes the little squares,
Yeah,
and I put zucchini in. You can't even tell that the zucchini is in the jam. It'd
yeah,
be great. You'd be great if you're trying to get a little something in for the kids, right? But
yeah. Well, I've seen zucchini made into faux pineapple.
ooh.
and you cut it up like pineapple chunks, and it gets canned in pineapple, I guess pineapple juice, if there is
Mhm.
such a thing, or pineapple, uh, yeah. And apparently it tastes just like pineapple.
That
So I
sounds
thought,
interesting.
yeah, and I'm not sure that I'm going to try that, but I've heard that it makes it, particularly if you're using it in something. I don't think you're going to want to put it on a skewer and put it on the barbecue, but I think if you're using it in like a bread that needs pineapple added to it or something, it can taste like that. So yeah, I think the world of preservation is like, it's almost what can't you do, right? I know there are certain things you don't want to do because it doesn't leave a nice product, but it's kind of like, how big is your imagination to figure out how you can preserve it?
So I've seen some videos on salting where they make these salts so that the salts draw the water away, which is what you're trying to do when you're preserving anything, right? When you're dehydrating, you want the water gone.
Right.
Um, have you ever made any of those salts?
Have I ever preserved like that?
Hmm.
Or I did do, and this was, back in the day, I would try everything as a home cook. And I remember curing salmon that way. I did that
Cool.
once. And it was lovely. I'm not so much a fan of, cured salmon. I don't like the dried salmon, or it's not dried. It's like, you get in the packets, and uh, that's not necessarily my favorite, but it worked. And everybody who ate it said it was great. But uh, that's the only thing I've like salt. Well, I salt it. Before you do your sauerkraut, you salt it, and then you squeeze out all the extra fluid because you're trying to push new fluid into the cabbage. Um, but I mean, salt is, yeah, smoked salmon. Thank you, Leanne. Uh, Salt is
Oh,
a great.
smoking, that's another way to preserve too.
Yes.
I've not something I've done,
I
but
have not done that either, but we have a chef that lives behind us, and he has this huge smoker, and he has offered, anytime you want anything smoked, you just let me know. So I was going to have him smoke some peppers for me this year, particularly paprika, because I really love smoked paprika, and so we'll see. I mean, that's a whole ball of wax right there, isn't it? Smoker.
oh, yeah, and that sounds interesting to me too because I'm growing paprika for the first time. So smoked, yay.
Oh yeah. Like, what's bad with that? My son was home, I think it was last summer, and I had all these peppers going. He goes, Mom, you aren't going to believe this. I realized I never thought paprika was a pepper. He goes, I thought it just came in this little like spice thing because I never thought about what it actually is. And I was like, yeah, it's a pepper. So he said, well, I feel kind of stupid. I said, don't feel stupid. You didn't know. That'd be ignorant, not stupid. You didn't know, right?
Yeah, Kitchen Garden Grows says I made Xmas spice vodka with pears, cinnamon, apple, which was nice, and rhubarb gin. Although Werther's original vodka is nice, is too delicious. That's
We're
another way to that is another way to preserve too is with alcohol, right?
right. Although Werther's original, are you talking about the caramels? The Werther's originals?
It says the Werther's original vodka.
What? Wow. Wow, wouldn't that be like super sweet? But, at the holidays, I guess. Oh, I love the idea of a spiced vodka. That sounds, wow. So it's kind of like your vodka is a fruit salad. So you essentially go,
Exactly.
getting in my fruit. I'm getting in my fruit for the day. Oh my goodness. Yeah, and Rob saying gin comes from vodka. Yes, a second distillation of vodka makes gin. Toffee vodka is life. Claire, I trust you. So I'm going to be looking. Is that out like year round or is that? Wow. I thought my Punchki vodka was like a big deal. Werther's? Are you kidding me? Okay. So if I show up with a red nose next week, you'll know why. I'm very giggly. So, wow. So does anybody? We're like past the hour already. I can't believe it. Robin, you are so easy to talk with. Do this for days. Anybody else have any comments or questions? Or I just love this group of people. You all have so many great things to say. This will be posted whenever Restream gets around to posting it with YouTube, and the chat comes up like a day later. So the chat will show up, and I go back and read every comment, and I thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you guys. It's sunny in Detroit today, so if the sun's out, it's a good day. So I hope you all stay well, and we'll see you next week. Same. Oh, I remember. I forgot to tell you last week. I had this community tab that I had prepared. Never hit send. So I thought I had communicated with everyone that there wasn't going to be a show last week. So I apologize. That was user error. I didn't send that. So next week we're back. We have a new guest next week. It is Lawrence from Ebenezer Cottage Gardens. Lovely young gardener. And I say young because everybody under the age of 40 now to me is seriously young. So anyway, have a great week and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks, Audrey.
Oh, this was fun.